Hello, my name is Courtney and welcome to my channel about not only my journey becoming the woman of God that I know that I can be and should be, but also sharing my journey with you guys so that you can come on the journey with me if you have some of the same desires that I have. So one of the things that I really just want to focus on in most of the videos would be just changing my own generational legacy. And I know there are so many people out there that would love to be able to do the same thing. You know, if you have people in your family that may have passed on some pretty bad habits, you know, and that you kind of picked up on as a small child or as a teenager or even as an adult, that you have carried over into your relationships with your significant other, with your friends, with your other family members, or with your children. And you notice these things, you know, it's like you notice that, say, your mom is always down about men or something like that, and you notice that you pick up on that. You start finding yourself saying things about men that your mom would say, like all men are dogs and things like that. And not to blame anyone, because as adults, we have to be able to take accountability for our lives and our choices, what comes out of our mouths, and how that affects our future and the future of those that we affect as well. So we have to keep that in mind, especially if we have children. You know, I don't have any children, so but I do know that they look at everything, they watch us, and that is what we did with our parents. We watched them, so we picked up on things. And I used to say, my family, I used to tell my cousin all the time, I used to wonder if we were cursed, especially the woman. Well, I guess the men too a little bit, because they were all like players and things like that, and womanizers, a lot of them, not all, but and the women, it seemed like they would always pick up these men that were like them, that were womanizers and players and things like that. And I noticed that I did the same thing. And I think a lot of it has to do with the way that I felt about myself. You know, I had a lot of insecurities. I still hold on to some of those insecurities. And even as a 40-year-old woman, I right now am not married, recently got out of a relationship that kind of went bad. And I'll talk about that a little bit later, but because it's not the purpose of this video. But there are just things in my life that I noticed that I carry on from what my mom did, from what my grandmother did. And I noticed other women in my family do the same thing. And I know it's pretty commonplace that some men may cheat and some women may seem to choose the same type of men, because that's an issue that I always hear about. So I'm not saying that it's just us and our family by far, but I do know some women that make better choices. I mean, you learn these things. You know, you learn how to interact with other people. You learn how to interact with men. You learn how to have relationships from watching those before you. So I don't necessarily think that it's a generational curse, but I think it's a generational habit that we pick up and that we observe, and we learn these things. So if we learn them, we can definitely unlearn them, and we can learn new things. And that's what I'm on a journey to do, and I would love for you to join me on that journey. I'm going to tell you a little bit about something that I'm doing for myself. I started a couple of years ago doing for myself at the end of this video, and I would love for you to join me in doing that as well. But one of the first things that I really am going to focus on for me is being less selfish. Because, just a little background about me, I was raised an only child. I do have a brother, but we didn't meet until we were adults. But being raised an only child is a really good prescription for becoming really selfish, because you have a good opportunity to do that. You don't have to share with anyone else. And with me, if I didn't want to share my toys with my friends or my cousins, I didn't have to. So it was like, I didn't have to share. I wasn't made to share. I wasn't made to do those things. Not that there's, well, I guess there is a little something wrong with it, because it carried over into my relationships. And a lot of times I noticed in my relationships, I focus on me. Like, I'm very me-centered. And it's not good if you want to have relationships with other people. You know, you have to think about them a little bit more, and you have to be less selfish and more giving. And it's innate in some people. With me, it's not innate. So that's something that I'm really going to focus on. And I think even if you're not an only child, we can learn selfishness as a good thing just by being born into this world, because we're born into a world full of consumerism, a world full of greed, and a world full of just materialism and things like that. And I have to win competition and be the first, and who cares about what happens to you? And in order to be the best, I have to have the best of everything. So it's like we're as a culture, not everyone, of course, is pretty greedy. And I'm not immune to that. I am. Like I shop all the time. And even if I do just shop at the thrift store a lot more than I shop at regular stores, I still shop. Like I can shop all the time, and I accumulate things and just keep them, and it's just not healthy. And it's not healthy, and it's the opposite of what God tells us to be in the Bible. In the Bible it says that we are supposed to be giving. We are supposed to be of service to other people. And that's not what the world would have us do. I wrote down a Bible verse really quick. I'm just going to read it. So in Philippians 2:4, it says that let each of you look not only to his own interest, but also in the interest of others. And while many of us do that, many of us don't. And in times when we feel like we don't want to, or someone may not be deserving of us being selfless, we are still called to do that as Christians. So that's one thing that I really wanted to focus on next month in September. And that brings me to what I was going to share with you, what I told you I was going to share with you earlier in the video, is that I would love for you to join me in what I'm terming the Fruit of the Spirits Challenge. So as you guys may know, that there are 9 fruit of the spirits, sorry. There are 9 fruit of the spirit. And what I have been doing for the past couple of years is focusing on one thing. Well, I started focusing on one thing per week to better myself. So say I wanted to be more humble, then I would focus on being more humble that week. Or if I wanted to be more honest, I would focus on being more honest the next week. Eventually, I started doing it monthly and just having the whole month be dedicated to being humble, or the whole month being dedicated to being honest. And I would do these things in conjunction with reading Bible verses around surrounding those things and activities that I would come up with myself and just do them. Now, the thing is that I have not always been consistent with that, and I fall off, I stop, I start, and consistency is key when you're trying to change something, when you're shifting something, because we can change. It's just being consistent with changing, and doing the hard things and actually doing the work and not stopping when we get tired of doing it, and I'm guilty of doing that. So with this, I wanted to share with others what I'm doing in hopes that you guys will join me, and maybe we can challenge each other to be better human beings and better Christians, and to look more like Jesus by the end of our challenges, but also to hold each other accountable for completing the challenges and actually finishing what we start, but also for encouragement as well. So with these, for instance, right now I've been focusing on being really authentic and just being me and just showing up to the world, no mask, and with who I am. So it's August right now, so I'm calling it Authentically August. I know it's cute. But and being just more honest in my statements and things like that. And so for instance, say I really don't want to do something, but I don't want someone asked me to do something, but I don't want to say no because I don't want to hurt their feelings, or I don't want them to be upset with me. I am known to be a people pleaser for myself. I know that I'm a people pleaser, and sometimes I'll say yes to things that I want to say no to. So being more authentic with that, I have started just to try to remember to say no when I don't really want to do something, if it's something that pushes me beyond a limit that I feel like I shouldn't go beyond. If it's something easy that I can do for somebody, then sure, I'll do it, because I don't want to be, like we were talking about earlier, selfish. But just saying no when you want to say no. And like Lisa Nichols, I listen to her a lot, and she says that no is a complete sentence. So you don't have to explain yourself. So just be more authentic in that. So the challenge that I would invite you to start with me, I'm going to have one each month, would be Selfless September. So if in September, I would love for you to join me. What I'm going to do is this is the easiest way that I could think of doing it. If it's someone can come up with another way for me to do it, then definitely by all means let me know. But the easiest way I figured was that I would put the challenge on my website that I have already called becominghisministries.com, and you can find the challenge there. And every month I will switch it to a new challenge. So October there'll be another topic, and then November there'll be another topic. But monthly what I would do is to send the challenges, the weekly challenges and weekly scripture readings and prayers that we're going to focus on for that week, for the whole month. So I hope this is making sense. But for Selfless September, so you would get something, you would sign up on my website and then get something every week at the beginning of the week. And then what we would do to engage with each other and to encourage each other and keep each other accountable is that we would come together on Facebook, in our Facebook group that I already have established, because it was just easier that way for me to do it. But we would kind of meet there weekly, or however many times we decide to meet, and just kind of post how we're doing that week on Facebook. So if you would want to join me, and hopefully anybody else that decides to join, just go on and follow the website or go to www.becominghisministries.com, and I will see you there. It's no cost. Everything is free. I promise I won't bombard you with emails or anything. Just the challenges, and then if you probably will get, I have a monthly email that goes out, but if you decide not to do it, you can not do that as well, or you can just sign up for the Facebook group if you don't want the emails, and then you can just find out like how everyone is doing with the challenges and find out what everybody's doing. So it's up to you. I'm not trying to do anything except to grow for myself, and I just wanted to share with other people in hopes that they would want to grow as well. Thank you, and I hope you have a lovely day. Bye.